very nice idea. Okay, so we have issues of juvenile delinquencies, such as drug abuse and indiscipline among secondary school students. How can ICT be used to tackle such issues?
Okay, we talked about the positive aspects of ICTs. I don't want to paint a picture that ICT doesn't also have a dark side, because as it has all these great resources and services that can benefit, it also have resources that can also distract the youths to get into activities that will cause bad behavior and bad existence. But what ICT can do, again, is to access good resources to counsel the youths and show them the implication of drug abuse in a very graphic way, to help them understand that the path they are taking is a detrimental path for themselves, for their families, and for the community and for the country. And these are consequences, there are huge consequences that will come to haunt them for the rest of their lives. ICT gives you immediate opportunity to demonstrate the ills of drug abuse. It also allows creations by students, by the youths, to use animation, for example, and scenario to create films, to tell them, to show them what the consequences are, right? It also can give an independent platform that is trusting to provide counseling and guidance services in a way that they don't feel shy or scared to talk to you. The youth affected can be in a place where professionals who ordinarily they would not want to face, they can go through the IT platform and communicate what led them to that, and that person can guide, counsel them out of it. So it can be used for awareness, it can be used for providing resources to them, and also providing a support mechanism for them.
I think we'll take these recommendations to other schools.
Right.
Sir, how can we use ICT to solve the problems of insecurity and unemployment in Nigeria and Adamawa State in particular?
ICT is not a panacea for everything. ICTs are enablers, right? They create enabling environment and processes to resolve issues. So your question is, how can ICTs help to resolve insecurity? That's one. And the other side is how it can help unemployment. Let's take each one separately. When you look at insecurity, insecurity is very complex and is multifaceted. Insecurity could be food insecurity, and ICTs can help in introducing ICTs in smart agriculture, where you can use ICT tools to improve agricultural productivity and optimize the yields of agriculture and moving the goods and the yields and returns of agriculture into the value chain to create wealth and to create employment while solving food insecurity. So ICTs are critical when we digitalize agriculture. It will attract lots of youths into agriculture, which creates employment for them to solve food insecurity and create wealth at the same time. So if you bring drones and you bring smart irrigation, you bring smart tractors, you bring artificial intelligence in the farm. So the youths now are getting into agriculture in a non-drudgery way. It's not the agriculture that their grandparents and their uncles were in the scorch of the heating sun. They're holding a hoe, trying to produce very little that doesn't create wealth for them, and they don't like it, so they run away. But when you bring ICT devices and technologies to mechanize farming, and then the youths who are interested in software engineering are writing software applications that can be used to understand the rain, the quality of the soil, what time should you plant something, then it becomes very useful to increase the yield and you solve food security. You create employment, you attract the youths into agriculture because now ICTs have enabled you to make agriculture very smart and is digitalized. To do that, state governments must consider to establish what I call agriculture vocational training centers, where now the future generations who are from the Northeast that comes from farming communities, their youths, their children, while they are in school, they can also be trained to have an opportunity to go to these agriculture vocational training centers and be trained into what will lead them to smart and digitalized agriculture. You understand? You can go to that place and learn how to maintain an intelligent tractor, an autonomous tractor. The tractor now will run itself on the farm, but you are sitting in a room like this in the farm controlling it. Most youths will want to go to agriculture if that will going to create wealth for them and employment. So we need to have the shift of the mindset around the utilization and adoption of ICTs in the ag space. When you come to insecurity on the other side, let's say Boko Haram and some of the other, what you call them, the other insurgencies, there's some name that you use locally, what is it? Mekaza, what do you call it? Huh? The Sheila boys and things like that. How does ICT help to do that? Through monitoring and tracking of them. Today, with the use of satellite, with the use of drone technology, with the use of big data to profile and understand them, through the use of GIS, you know what GIS is, Geographic Information Systems, and smart mapping and sensing, you can track their movements wherever they are. And when you can pinpoint them, you can deter and have intelligence in their activities. You understand? So you can use ICT tools to track their movements, their locations, and you can use data and analyze big data about these insurgencies to do prediction and forecasting that can be helpful to the police, to the army, to the civil defense force to be able to monitor their activities. You will be able to create databases with their profiles and pictures so that they can be recognizable. You can recognize them, you can track them, you can have cameras that are smart and intelligent enough that can identify them in a crowd before they move and do anything, right? You can use non-human driven machines that can go to places where might be very dangerous for the army or for the police to go after them. So ICTs and technologies are critical if they are used effectively in a targeted way by competent professionals to fight against insurgency. In terms of employment or unemployment, the biggest creators of jobs is the ICT space. The more digitally competent you are, the more ICT competent you are, the more employable you are, the more opportunities you have to get into valuable entrepreneurship activities. Because the way we will solve unemployment will never be will never be through expecting government or state government to provide jobs. Jobs have to be created. To create jobs, the biggest creators of jobs and entrepreneurship is ICTs and digitalization. So there ought to be massive digital transformation. There ought to be massive capacity and competency building around the ecosystem and value chain of the ICT space. When you do that, the youths with competencies and skills, they will be creating jobs and employment. If you notice, the most successful companies globally are what? Are ICT companies. Who created these ICT companies? Who employed them? Nobody. They employed themselves. That resulted in Facebook, Google, Skype, Oracle, Microsoft. Who created these multi-billion, trillion companies? They were youths. Nothing stopped the Northeast youths to immediately begin entrepreneurs and creators of jobs using ICTs. And to do that, the youth must be interested in STEM, in sciences. The youth must stop running away from mathematics. The youth must stop from running away from physics, from chemistry, from biology. The more competent we have in the Northeast of youths who love the sciences, the more they will be valuable entrepreneurs. It doesn't mean that other subjects are not important. They are. Right? But you can only solve unemployment through the mindset of the young. The youth and the young must be disciplined, must be focused, must be ambitious, must be ready to be competent and have a dream and work towards achieving that dream, to engage in entrepreneurship in a meaningful way. Right? And ICTs creates that opportunity. But ICTs is not just something that you talk about. It is something that you do. And to do it, you have to do it competently. And you have to be passionate about it. And you have to be ready to invest the time to learn the tools and the skills to be able to create jobs. You can be right here. If you are competent in ICTs, jobs can find you in the Northeast and in Yola from the United States, from Europe, from other African countries, from other states, and you can sit right here to do it. The coronavirus is a reality. I like an analogy or an explanation that the Honorable Minister Pantami said yesterday, that world economies are collapsing. everybody is isolated. Everybody is told to stay at home. We are told not to group together. Even the supermarkets are getting empty. The only thing that is working is digital platforms. If we didn't have the ICTs around, you cannot imagine what would happen to the world. Universities are closing, but learning is not closing because you're able to go online, take a course, and learning continues. Which, because of the virus, you are told you cannot go to school. You cannot go to the university. But today, Amadou Ribadu College, even if the federal government or the state government says close the school, when you go home, ICTs can enable classes to continue. You understand? The creators of those ICTs have created jobs for themselves. So, to solve the unemployment, there is an urgent need to change the mindsets of the youths, the attitude, and the thinking that the only way you can succeed or be employed is to get a job from the local government or from the state government or from the federal government. Youth might have to rethink that and to think like Zuckerberg of Facebook, to think like Bill Gates of Microsoft, right? To think like the creators of SAPs, etc., and say, I am going to get the necessary skills and competencies in the ICTs, and I will look for challenges in society, and I will look for my friends, and we will channel our creation to create something using ICTs and our creativity to solve a problem that is needed by many who will be ready to pay 1 naira. If you build an ICT artifact, 2 of you, and you price it as 1 naira, and every Nigerian wants that item, and whenever and it's an app, for example, and they click a button on your phone to access the app, and they will just pay 1 naira. How many Nigerians are in Nigeria? Huh? How many millions? Even if you have 100 million Nigerians who access your app every day, you are sitting in Yola making 100 million naira a day. What should I be engaging on my time as a youth? What competencies and skills I need to have? What am I engaging my friends in our corner talk on? What is the best way to create that simple app using programming, using our skills that will solve that problem that everybody needs? And I put it on the market space. To use it, you pay 1 naira. If 100 people use it every month, so forget one day, every month you make 100 million naira. Extrapolate that. That's how Mike Zuckerberg created Facebook in his dormitories. It was a very simple system, but that simple system, through his efforts of hard work and learning and developing himself through tools and competencies of ICTs, was able to create a global company. Right? So learn your math, learn your physics, learn your English language and your literature, because they are very important. To be a software engineer doesn't mean that English is not important. Actually, I sometimes tend to tell young people that if your English is not good, your math might not be so good as well. Most people think that I don't need English, I don't need history, all I need is math. You will be limited, even if you're good in math. You have to carry both. So youth have to take advantage of the fortune that you have today. That ICT platforms allow you to sit here in Yola and access the same tools and resources like anybody anywhere in the world without leaving Yola. I gave you an example of Khan Academy, right? There is another example. There is Coursera. Are you familiar with Coursera? You may take a note. Coursera.com is a MOOC. What is a MOOC? It's a platform where you're going to access courses almost for free. You can be a high school student who is very good in math and go through these MOOCs and develop yourself to advance math beyond high school before you even come to university. You want to learn a tool to enable you to create something that you can build a company, like you want to learn programming, for example. You want to learn Python. You want to learn C++. You want to learn machine learning. You want to learn big data. You are hearing these things. You want to learn artificial intelligence. You want to learn robotics. You can go online without going to London or to Germany or to the United States, enroll in those courses, and use your phone effectively to learn those material and get certified. When you do that, you are building the ingredients to set up your own companies with the same skills that are acquired by others out there. So the youths of Northeast can come together, utilize the tools out there, and begin to train yourself. There is no shortcut to competency. If you really want to create jobs and be employed, your skills and your competency and your ability is what will enable you to drive the value of the employment that you want.